In this tutorial, you will learn how to add context by importing data and information about your clients from Excel or CSV file. Start by clicking this button here, Data Maintenance. Then, click this button here, Add context data from Excel or CSV file. Select your Excel file and click Open. But before you import data from the Excel file to this program, let's work on the Excel file that you are going to use. A normal customer name list may look something like this, with different fields of the client, for example, name, company, email address, IC number, home address, office address, and so on. Do know that the fields and the type of data that you can import from the Excel file to this program is the same as the fields available in the Add or Edit Context window when you key in your client's data manually. There are a few guidelines to be followed while creating this Excel file so that these data here can be imported to the program. First, the field names must be in the first row. So if there's anything in the first row, for example title of name list, do delete the first row. Next, the field name must only contain alphanumerics, meaning they only must contain alphabets and numbers. So if there's any symbols like brackets, full stops, do delete them. For mail, email and SMS purposes, there are a few fields you may want to add. For example, name to for their English name, title, for example Mr., Miss or Mrs., and salutation. Salutation is the name that you use to greet your clients when you send them an SMS or an email. For example, I want to send an SMS or email to client number 1. The SMS or email will start with Dear Nurul, comma, or Hi Nurul, comma. If I want my salutation for SMS and salutation for email to be different, for example, for SMS I want the program to say Dear Nurul, and for email I want the program to say Dear Nurul Ain. I can simply add a new column and write a new column for salutation for email. Differentiate this by writing here SMS and write the salutation that you want for this client when you email this client. After you've keyed in everything here, whenever you send a mail to your client, the name that will be printed out on the envelope goes to this sequence: title, name to, name. For example, client number 6, title Mr., name to Danny, name Lamatek, Mr. Danny Lamatek. For a client's handphone number, be sure to key it in the international number format, which starts with +6 followed by their handphone number. Number formats like this and this will not be accepted by the program. Same thing goes for your IC number. Be sure to key it in IC number format, which is 6 numbers dash 2 numbers dash 4 numbers. If you have any trouble keying in the contact number and IC number following the format, highlight these 2 columns here, right click and select Format Cells. Click Text and click OK. For a client's home address, it can be maximum divided into 4 columns plus city, state, and postcode. The reason why the home address is divided into so many parts is so that when the program prints out the envelope, the address will be printed out in few lines and look something like this. If I do not divide my address and I write everything in one column here, when the program prints out the envelope, the address will only be printed out in one line and look something like this. If you already have an Excel file where you already keyed in all the address in only one column, it is advisable you sort it out in the Verify or Update Data Home Address window, which we will share in another tutorial. This same concept also applies to the office address. Take note that the office address by default is the mailing address, the address that you mail to your clients. If the office address is not available, the home address will be the mailing address. After we have done creating our Excel file, look at these few buttons here. We have Sheet 1, Sheet 2 and Sheet 3, and we are under Sheet 1. Save this file and quit Excel. Go to CRMPlus, go to Data Maintenance and click this button here. Open the file we have saved just now. and select a sheet name for this Excel file, which we are under Sheet 1. Click OK. We will then come to this screen here. What we are going to do now is to map and match the fields in the Excel file to the standard fields given here. Start by clicking this drop down menu button here and select from this list to match this field. For example, for title, I wrote the word title in Excel file. For NRIC, in the Excel file, I wrote the word IC number. One more example, for mobile phone number, in the Excel file I wrote contact number. Do the same for all the other fields. Do note that the things that appear in this list is only the content of the first row of your Excel file. That is the reason why the first row of the Excel file must be your field names and nothing else. If these fields are not available in the Excel file, simply leave all these fields blank. For a client salutation, start by clicking these few buttons here and select the word that you want to use. If the word that you would want to use is not here, simply manually key in here or click this button here, key in the word that you want to use, and when you click OK, the next time when you open this drop down menu button here, the word that you key in will appear here. Select the word that you want to use for birthday cards, season greeting cards, email, and also SMS. Select if you want to use a title, for example Mr., Miss or Mrs. by checking or unchecking these boxes here. And for the name, if you want to use the full name, the name that you key in the name column in the Excel file, simply click this drop down menu button here and select the respective field. If you want to use a special greeting, a special name, for example a shortened name or an English name, select the column that you've already specially created just now in the Excel file. An example of how the salutation will work. For example, for this birthday card, if the client's name is Danny, this birthday card will start with Hey, with title Hey Mr. Danny. Next, for the sign up option, the way you want to sign out in a mail or email, you can choose a sign up option of 1 to 6. In another tutorial, we will share how to change and manage all these sign up options. And for the few yellow highlighted special fields here and here, it has a special function. The program will automatically block if there's an exact match or if there's a duplicate in these 4 fields here. For example, if there's a duplicate in a name or duplicate in an IC number, the program will automatically block and not add the contact to the program. But if you still insist and wants the program to save this contact, although it's a duplicate, simply uncheck these buttons here so that the program will allow and still allow these contacts to be saved in the program. Notice this Outlook button here. Whenever you update a certain contact or client, the database in this program for this software is already updated, but the contacts in your Outlook is not yet updated. So to match the database in this program and your Outlook, simply click this button here and the program will transfer all the files to Microsoft Outlook. After you have done everything, click the import button and the program will automatically import all the data from your Excel file to the program. After you've clicked the import button, the program's database will now have 10 newly added contacts. However, the Outlook database is not yet updated. Notice the Outlook button now have words in red color, indicating that the 10 newly added contacts have not been updated in the Outlook database. So before you exit, be sure to click the Outlook button so that your Outlook database will be updated. Contacts that we have imported from the Excel file to this program will appear in the contact list here.